the Institute of Directors is urging the next government to give shareholders more of a say on pay levels at listed companies. The call, made in the Business Lobby Group's election manifesto, is aimed at helping to restore trust in big business. Well, Oliver Parry is Head of Corporate Governance at the IOD and joins me now. So, Oliver, you're arguing that if 30% of investors oppose the remuneration report, you want a fresh vote, a fresh opportunity for shareholders to vote on it.
Absolutely. So the binding resolution on pay, so the remuneration policy, absolutely. Now, what we think this will do is this will inspire greater engagement between the investors and the boards ahead of a binding vote, but I think it would also ensure that the shareholders feel their votes count for a lot more. At the moment, I think one of the issues we have is shareholders think that pay is just going to get nodded through. That's certainly what we've seen in the past. So as we enter AGM season now, where there will be a number of binding resolutions, as there was today at Barclays, I think it will be interesting to see how shareholders engage. And we think this is a good way to ensure that shareholders and boards engage more.
Well, since you've raised the subject of Barclays, 1 in 7 shareholders failed to vote for Jess Daly, the CEO, to be reappointed. What's your reaction to that?
Well, look, clearly he's made some errors, certainly around the whistleblowing. He's acknowledged that. But he is an experienced financier. He understands the banking world better than anybody else, and it was a matter for shareholders. And ultimately, he's going to be judged on the financial performance. Financial performance of Barclays has been in line with management expectations. Now, over the next 12 months, he's got to justify his re-election to the board.
But looking back at some of your proposals, I mean, do you really think that trust in big business is so broken that we need to go this far?
I think we've had a number of corporate failures over the last couple of years, whether it be Sports Direct or the issue with BHS and identified by Mark, the accounting scandal at BT. So, I mean, absolutely, this affects the perception on British businesses as a whole, and our members are concerned about it. And so it's absolutely crucial that we restore trust in business, and we think this is the one way we can do it.
You mentioned BHS there. I mean, BHS is unlisted.
Absolutely.
I mean, private. You essentially want a beefing up of rules surrounding private companies as well. I mean, how do you enforce that? It's terribly difficult, isn't it?
Well, the code of governance that operates in the listed market, it operates on a comply or explain basis. So what we would actually encourage the government to do is actually look at developing a code of governance for the unlisted market as well. And you could do it in 2 ways. We have our own unlisted guidance, which we published 6 years ago, which can be used, or the government could choose to use the UK Corporate Governance Code and cherry-pick the relevant parts.
But how do you enforce it, though? I mean, you know, good luck trying to tell Sir Philip Green how to run his company.
Sure, there are some difficult personalities on the enlisted sector, just as there are on the listed sector. But the codes operate on a comply or explain basis. So where companies choose not to comply with the regulations, they would have to explain why not. And we see a government playing a key role in that, perhaps in charging the regulator, the Financial Reporting Council, to be some sort of enforcement body.
The FRC have been pretty toothless thus far, though, haven't they? I mean, they don't exactly put the fear of God into companies.
Well, they're toothless because they don't have the powers to actually act. So if you look at some of their remits on the accounting issues, they do have very sharp teeth, and they can fine accountants, they can ban accountants. On corporate governance, they are merely custodians of the code. What they've actually called for is a beefing up of powers. So hopefully the government will look at that very closely.
And briefly, what sort of response do you expect from the government?
I'm confident that the government will look at our proposal very, very closely. All options are on the table. They've published a green paper into this, so hopefully it will be considered along with that.